Twitter. What's up, Periscope? Going live here. Let me move this back. Awesome. Let's see. I'm on Facebook too. Live as usual. Gonna leave that there like that. Move this over. I'm live too I'm live on Twitter and Periscope. So I'm gonna wait a little bit. Introducing people. Let's see who's tuning on. What's up to JD Ward? Thanks for joining. So Facebook people, I'm on Twitter and Periscope. If this is the first time you've ever watched me on video, I like to do multiple platforms at once. So if you're tuning in, it's always cool. Drop a comment below. Let me know where you're tuning in from. And like I said, so Periscope and Twitter, folks, like I'm live on Facebook. So I use my phone and my laptop to do that. I'm going to wait a little bit longer for some people to hop on. And then today I really wanted to talk about, I just feel like I'm meant to share this message today. This quick Freedom Day video. What's going on? OEF veteran on Periscope. Thanks for joining. If anyone's tuning in, thank you so much for joining and watching. Hopefully you get some value. This is a message, like I said, I feel like I need to share it, like it's coming through me, and I feel like there's maybe one person or two people, just one person really makes all the difference, like that needs to hear this message, and maybe it will really impact your life, because this is important stuff that has really changed my life for the better. Especially most recently, and it's stuff that does not get talked about very often. This kind of stuff, and you see the title of the video is called True Freedom. What is true freedom? The answer might shock you. Happy Independence Day to everybody. I'll give you my thoughts on freedom and what that means. And like I always talk about a lot of times is clarity. So like the more we understand something, the more we can create that in our life. What's going on, Victoria? Thanks for joining. Hopefully you're well. I hope you have a great 4th of July. So today, like I said, I'm talking about freedom and my thoughts on like what freedom really means. Because I feel like most people don't really quite get the concept of freedom, and it's not your fault. We've been raised and we've been programmed to think a certain way, to think what freedom means. And basically, in a nutshell, in the simplest way to describe what I'm talking about today, a lot of this is basically spiritual. I believe we're spiritual beings in a temporary physical human body. That's what I believe. Getting on the spiritual path. So to me, most people, and you can tune in, let me know. Like, I will love to hear your guys' thoughts, your feedback of like, what does freedom mean to you? Like, freedom means something different to everybody, but I believe what I'm going to talk about today, I believe it's kind of undeniable, I feel like. I could be wrong, but I'm talking about stuff that I've learned from people that are far, 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 far wiser than I am, far older than me too, way more experienced. So what I think most people's false concept of freedom has to do with like conditions. It has to do with conditions. It has to do with, I'll be free when you fill in the blank. Insert a condition. And real freedom, to me, is it's not about not seeking better conditions or better life, but real, true freedom, I believe, is when a person gets in touch and aligned with their higher self, and they can live a life and live a life where they completely express their true, authentic self in a healthy way where no outside conditions or circumstances will affect that. Like that inner peace, that inner freedom, that inner wisdom. True freedom, like to me, is freedom from the world. Like freedom from the ways of the world, the way in which most people live, which a lot of times, most people consciously, or whether they do it consciously or not, a lot of people live in suffering. They live with constant problems. They live in a state of doubt and fear and worry and all of these negative emotions when they don't have to. It's normal to have a ranging feelings of emotions. Like it's normal to feel a wide range of emotions, but it's not like actually normal human nature to always be in a constant cycle of like suffering and pain. Like that's not actually normal. Like real freedom is freedom, is freedom from conditions determining your inner peace. That's what freedom means to me. Freedom means you have the ability to be and choose and act and behave in a way that's aligned with your higher self, that is not dependent on outside conditions or circumstances, being people or events. Period. That's real freedom. That is real freedom. So, for instance, freedom is actually more about, it's less about temporary conditions, and it's more about your, like I said, your ability, I think, to be aligned with your higher self and to live from that place, and not be affected, like not be forced to live from a different place because of people or circumstances. That is real freedom to me. I don't know what you guys think. Drop a comment. Let me know what you think below. So, for instance, that could be true freedom, inner peace, inner freedom, inner success, whatever you want to call it. Awakening is when you have the ability to really always be in control, like always be in control of yourself. Like things don't affect you or bother you the way they used to. Maybe like for me, for instance, a lot of times I used to have problems more with like anger, my temper, and if things didn't go my way, I had to be in control, and events and conditions and circumstances had to be away, otherwise I would get pissed off. I'd get furious and angry. Now that's not the case. Now I'm much more calmer, stable, going with the flow, and to me, I feel way better. I feel more peaceful, more happier, more healthy. That is real freedom. So it's freedom from things like freedom from, reacting in a way that's angry. Freedom from reacting in a way that's jealousy. Freedom from needing to always have more and better conditions to make you happy. That, like, freedom from those things. Like, you don't need those things. Those things don't need to control you. Freedom from addictions. Freedom from not having addictions, being addicted to anything. Where I'm from, a big addiction where people get confused, you celebrate, it's the 4th of July, you go out, you get hammered, you buy a 6-pack, you buy a case, you drink, you share alcohol, you do all that things. Like, things in moderation are okay, but when you're actually going out and you're getting drunk and you're getting hammered and you're blacking out and you're doing these unhealthy things to your body, and when you actually stop and think about it and realize that a lot of that behavior is just unconscious, you just do it without thinking, it's habitual, that is not freedom. That is not freedom when you go out and celebrate your 4th of July, and you're just doing the same thing you've done for 40, 50, 60, 70 years, or 20, 25 years, and getting drunk and smashed and hammered and doing unhealthy things and smoking cigarettes and smoking because it's just what's happening, and you don't put any conscious thought or effort into, why am I actually doing this? Why am I choosing to spend my money on cigarettes and alcohol and beer and things that are unhealthy for me? Why am I making these choices? Oh, because everybody else around me is doing it. Then you realize that you're not actually so free after all. You're not as free as you think. I mean, think about it. Another big key component to true freedom, other than to do with like awakening and living from your higher self and not letting things and people and circumstances affect that inner peace and that place of, your true self. I think freedom is about health. Freedom from worry. Freedom from, having to take medicine, needing to take pills, having to smoke a cigarette every 30 minutes. Those are crippling things. Those things will affect your life. Do you agree? I think those things will dramatically affect your life. So freedom is about having true, genuine health. Good health, to be in good standing. So if you're not as healthy as you could be, if you're not making those decisions and you're making unhealthy decisions unconsciously, I challenge you, if you're watching this video, I highly, highly suggest and I challenge you to stop and pause and be conscious for a second and ask yourself, why am I doing this? Whatever it is, any behavior, any action. Why am I doing this? Why am I buying this beer? Why am I choosing to overindulge in alcoholic beverages? Why am I choosing to drink so much? Why am I choosing to watch negative videos filled with guns and killing and other bad things? Why are you putting unhealthy, negative messages and sounds into your life? Why are you putting unhealthy substances into your body, into your mind, into your soul, into your being of who you are? Why are you making these choices? And if you can't say consciously, I choose this because I want to do this because of this and that, if you can't say that, then you don't have freedom. Because most of the time when you stop and think about it, why are you celebrating millions of Native Americans? Most of the time when you stop and think about it, you don't actually have freedom. Because your behavior is stemming from the fact that you're doing something unconsciously. You're doing something out of habit. You're doing something habitually or in an addictive manner. And that's the very opposite of freedom, of what freedom is. Freedom is about not having to have certain circumstances or conditions to make us happy, that will block us from living from our higher self. No matter what's happening, I believe everybody can live from their higher self. They can live from this place of abundance and joy and peace and happiness and success. That's what we're all after. Every human being on the face of the planet, from a baby to a 110-year-old person, that's the purpose of living, is feeling good and helping others do the same and living your purpose. So if you're being controlled, because freedom is about having control over yourself, but at the same time, paradoxically, it's not needing to always have control over certain outside external events. You are being controlled by addictive patterns, and it's something you really should look into. If you're addicted to alcohol, if you're addicted to tobacco products, especially cigarettes. Cigarettes is one of the unhealthiest things you could ever be addicted to. So that's something that you definitely want to be conscious of and start today. Challenge yourself to quit. Make this day, don't just make this day about America's birthday and we're free and we're an independent country and blah blah blah. Like, that's awesome. Thank you, to all the people that ever